Are you addicted to the narcissist? Hello lovelies, welcome to Narc Formula. My name's Freedom. Today's video is for you if you feel addicted to the narcissist. If you're still craving them, if you keep going back to them, if you keep having contact with them even though you know they're no good for you, then you're probably addicted and this video is for you. Alright darlings, let's just jump straight into it, shall we? So, like any addiction, narcissistic abuse addiction it's no different. It's actually really complicated, but I'm going to try and make it as simple as I can and break it down into two different parts. So I'm going to explain to you why you're addicted, the different types of addiction, and then what you can do about it. So first of all, why are you addicted to the narcissist? Well, this is the emotional and psychological aspect. So you're addicted to them because they've imprinted and embedded themselves into all aspects of your life, including your history and your future. They've done it in a whole host of different ways, but imprinting and embedding are the main kind of two that I see them do. So what I mean by imprinting and embedding, well, all right, let's start off with embedding. So let's just imagine it's your birthday party, you're having a huge dinner party, all your friends and family are coming, and it's your day and it's great. Until one of two things happens. Either he starts a huge fight, ends up, leaving you in tears on your birthday, broken up, or he decides to, that's the moment that he's going to propose to you. And, he pulls out a beautiful, huge diamond and the whole thing becomes about him, asking you to marry him. And it's great. And, you say yes and you're all excited and happy and all of your friends are excited and happy. And it seems great. But what he's actually doing here is he's managed to embed himself into something that wasn't about him. So now it's about him. And not only is it now about him, in the future, even if you guys break up, every birthday that you have, you will never ever forget, the night that he proposed to you at your birthday dinner. So that's one way that narcissists embed themselves. They put themselves, like I said, in situations like that. Imprinting is done in different ways. Imprinting is, for example, just say you've got a favourite song and it's your song and it's been your favourite song since you were a little girl. Okay? Now, I don't know, let's just imagine you guys have had a fight or you've broken up or you caught him cheating, and what he does is he sends you a card or a love note with the lyrics of that song in there. So now, whenever you hear your favourite song, now it's been tainted by the memory of him. Or even if you don't see it as tainted, you'll never just listen to that song without thinking about the fight, the card, the fact that he wrote those words. Okay, so that's imprinting. Another way that narcissists imprint themselves upon us is by fetishizing or obsessing about particular parts of our bodies. Excuse me. So, for example, one of my clients has beautiful blue eyes, and her narcissist raves about her eyes. He's always talking about his beautiful blue-eyed girl, to the point that when she looks at herself, when she looks at her eyes in the mirror, she thinks about her eyes being his beautiful blue-eyed girl. So he's imprinted himself upon her own body. She can't even look at herself in the mirror without thinking about him. And now that they've separated, that's a bit of a problem. See, at the time when we're with them, we don't realise that's what they're doing. So when they're kind of claiming our bodies and, sexually, they do the, whose boobs are they? Oh, they're your boobs. Or whatever, whatever body part they're fetishizing. They make us tell them that, we belong to them. And at the time, it doesn't seem so harmful, but afterwards, when we're no longer with them and we still see ourselves as being theirs, or we just feel disconnected from our own bodies, or when we want to be with other people, we feel like we can't because there's a level of guilt going on. There's a whole lot of things. So this is imprinting and embedding. There are other things that they do that cause us to be addicted to them. But like I said, it's kind of this whole, them being a part of our everything, our history, our future. So by future faking, they've literally co-opted your dreams. Your dreams and your future becomes, ours. So instead of it being, mine, it becomes ours. And unfortunately, once again, what happens is when you've spent X amount of time, whether it's, 6 months, 3 years, 10 years, 20 years, sharing a vision, it's future faking on their behalf because they know they're not going to stick around, but, they're telling us what we want to hear and we're believing it, and we are being future faked. We are believing they're going to be around, until we're, forever, essentially. And so when you end up not with them, it's hard to reimagine the future with them. So there's kind of psychological or subconscious prompts, like our brain's trying to imagine, where does the narcissist fit in the future now? So this is one of the ways that they get us to be continually thinking about them. Which leads me to my next point, brainwashing. Another way that, another reason that we're so heavily addicted to them is because we've been brainwashed into believing their lies, believing the future faking, and believing the mask, and we've spent so long thinking about what they want us to think about, which is them. We've spent so long trying to figure out what's going on with them, trying to figure out, are they happy, are they sad, why are they ignoring me, what's going on, what did I say? When you're continually thinking and obsessing about someone or something, once that thing is gone, all of a sudden your brain doesn't know how to respond or how to deal with it. It's become so obsessive and so compulsive, it really doesn't know what to do. So it keeps on thinking about the thing that you made it think about for so long. And the next point is the mask. This is another reason why we're so addicted, is because they created such a good mask. The masks that they present to you, the person they pretend to be, that's not the person that they show their mother, or the bloke, that they work with, or the woman that came after you. It's a totally different mask, but you don't know that, and the thing is that the mask is so good, like they craft it so well. We really believe that, they are the one for us, that, that they really are, Prince Charming, the hero come to rescue us, whatever it is that, we are seeking. They pretend to be that, which is why it's so hard to give it up, because that's all we wanted was that. And we finally thought we had it, and now we don't. So we're ruminating and we're thinking about it and wanting it back. But the reality is they were never that thing in the first place. Which leads me to, actually I might just quickly talk about the physical addiction and then we'll move on. Alright, so physical addiction. So that was the emotional and psychological reasons, behind the addiction. Actually, just one second, I just want to quickly check my notes. Did the fetishizing, future faking, imprinting and embedding, brainwashing, and the mask. Yeah, okay. All right, so and then there's the physical addiction. So we have pheromones, which, as you know, is, it's our own individual chemical signal or key. No one can smell it on a conscious level, but subconsciously, it's what attracts us to other people. It's, this is what nature does to ensure that our offspring have two parents that are that complement each other on a molecular and DNA level, essentially. So we can't fight that, and that but that does happen, and that's one of the reasons why when you break up with someone, you kind of find yourself doing things like wearing their t-shirt to bed. or you smell their pillow, because either there's a literal smell, like from their cologne or whatever, or there's this pheromones, on their t-shirt. So, there's that, and that does create a physical addiction. But there's also peptide addiction. And peptide addiction is something that's actually caused by their intermittent reinforcement. So that's what we call it when the narcissist is intermittently reinforcing love. So occasionally they'll be really, really nice and really, really good to you, and then they'll ignore you for a week. And then they'll come back and you'll spend 3 weeks of just bliss together. And then it'll be 2 days of silence. And then it'll be 1 night of wild, passionate sex. And then, you're being ignored again for another week. You never really know where you stand. But on a physiological level, what's happening is your body's actually being taken on this ride, essentially, where all these different chemicals are kicking in. So you've got stress chemicals. So when they're ignoring you and you're not, they're not answering your texts and you're literally feeling like, you guys are breaking up. So you've got all these stress levels coursing, stress hormones coursing through your veins. And then what happens is finally the phone rings and it's him and he says, "Oh baby, I miss you so much." So then you have a dopamine hit where, you feel good and you feel loved and connected. And these are two kind of really opposing, chemical reactions in the body, but that in turn creates this peptide addiction. So when you're stressed and anxious, that creates a chemical reaction. And then when you're happy and things are good, that in turn also creates another chemical reaction. All of these are creating a physical addiction in your body. So when all that's taken away and you don't have the highs or the lows, you don't have the stress and the anxiety, you don't have any of that, what happens is the body doesn't really know how to behave and react, and it has to reset itself. But that can take a little while. I'm not a scientist and I don't know about, exactly how long it takes, but I do know that just like any kind of drug addiction, the best way of handling it is by going cold turkey, which leads me to the what can you do about your addiction. It's important to realize that one of the reasons why you're finding this so hard to overcome is that you talked yourself into it. And what I mean by that is, sure, the narcissist did a whole lot of shitty things, and they really, really did, right? But you also had a role to play in the respect that, you ignored the red flags. And when I say you, I mean me, you, us. We all did it. We all ignore the red flags. We all overlook things that we shouldn't have overlooked. We all turned a blind eye. We all allowed ourselves to, to be lied to, essentially. We justified bad behaviour. We said, oh, it's because he's tired, he's been working really hard, he's hungry, it's because of the way his mum treated him. Like, there's 50,000 excuses that we gave, and none of them were real. So we essentially really did talk ourselves into it. So every time they lied to us, we lied to ourselves too. And most of the time, we had this awful feeling that something wasn't quite right, but we ignored that too. So we ignored our own intuition and our own instinct. So now, how do we come back to, being healthy and not addicted to the narcissist? We have to get reality based. We have to actually stay focused on what is real, and break free from the illusion. We need to realize that this is an addiction, and like all addictions, it's serious. These individuals are disordered. They're dangerous. They're highly manipulative, and things are never going to end well with them. So we have to, like I said, treat this like we would any other addiction. And that means we have to go cold turkey. We have to get rid of, any of their belongings that we have anything that reminds us of them. We have to get rid of all that stuff. We can't hang around, the friend group that they are a part of. We need to literally isolate ourselves away from them and anyone who knows them. We need to lean back on our support systems, so if you have family or friends that you can rely on, then now is the time to actually reach out and get help and see a professional. I mean, if it's, if you really see yourself as being addicted, then definitely, you can have some one-on-one sessions with someone like myself, or you could go and, see, do some work with like a grief counsellor, an addiction specialist. I think with the narcissism, look, to be perfectly honest, I do actually recommend talking to someone like myself who's been through narcissistic abuse, because it's one of those things that on paper, so when you're studying, some things on paper are completely different to the lived reality of it. And I knew about narcissistic or narcissistic personality disorder theoretically, but the experience that I had, being married to someone with narcissistic personality disorder, that gave me the education that I really needed. What I thought I knew, then what I actually ended up learning, were two very, very different things. And this is why often people who go to counsellors to speak about narcissistic abuse just don't get the help that they need, because, these aren't trained specialists. Although, yes, they're counsellors, they're not actually trained specialists in the area of narcissistic personality disorder. So anyhow, look, like I said, realise that it's serious, realise that you need to treat it like an addiction, go cold turkey, do what you need to do, get the help and support that you need, because it's important. You're fighting for your life. And also, one more tip is actually two more tips. One is to get into your anger. Use your anger as an energy to help pull you through this. And the final tip is when you're going through emotional hurt and sadness, amazingly, people say, I was in so much pain, right? Amazingly, pain relief that you would use for a headache or back pain or whatever actually works on emotional pain as well. So, it's not going to take it away, but it does actually relieve it a little bit. So, when you are really emotional and hurting, take a Panadol or an aspirin or an ibuprofen, because it actually will help with the emotional pain. All right, lovelies, I hope this helps you break your addiction to the narcissist and you get narc free and stay narc free. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.